I'm so poorly.
You've never had Ovaltine.
Welcome to Adult Life.
If anyone else out there is poorly, get your Lemsip, get your Albus oil, and cuddle up in bed and put the podcast on. Hello and welcome to Uphill From Here.
This is Catherine.
And this is Amy. And we're back. Amy's poorly.
I'm ill. It's that time of year, isn't it? Where you're like, can I not taste and smell because I'm full of the cold? Or do I have coronavirus?
Exactly.
It's fine. It's all good. It's all good. So, Catherine, what is our... I shouldn't get that close ever, sorry. What's our word of the week this week?
Our word of the week this week is expectations. So we are going to be talking all about what expectation means to us, and we have two very special guests on today, which we're very excited to announce later on.
Yeah. Okay, who's first this week? Because I feel like we've not done this in a while.
Amy has said, to my younger self, stop wishing your life away. Adult life isn't always what it's cracked up to be. Your life probably doesn't look now how you expected it to at 22, but that doesn't mean you failed or that you will never have the life you wanted. You are living that life right now. You are on the right track, bumpy as it may be. Trust in that journey, even if it does take you down some unexpected paths. Adapt, live in the present, make the most of the cards you've been dealt. To avoid sounding completely cynical, dreams and aspirations are great, but you can't always expect things to go your way. Then you'd be setting yourself up for failure. Hoping and striving towards love, success, and happiness is important, but so is recognizing that those things might not be as easily achieved as we had once hoped. We should also anticipate challenges, times when we need to find strength, times where we aren't happy or proud. Expect for adult life to be hard sometimes. Expect to be hurt. That way you can be best prepared to handle those situations without too much disappointment. If anything, 2020 has taught us to expect the unexpected. Life sometimes throws you curveballs. Don't expect it to be easy. Don't expect things to get given to you on a silver platter. Don't expect people to treat you with the same kindness you show them. Don't always expect to get what you want. Don't expect things to always turn out as you had once planned. But go forward with hope, with courage, and feel safe in the knowledge that whatever happens to you in your life happens for a reason, whether it's what you expected or not. Amy.
Yeah, I feel maybe because I'm ill, I'm the positive one. But I feel like this letter was a bit negative. Do you feel that?
A little bit, but I wouldn't say it was like negative. I think you were just being realistic.
Just being honest, yeah.
Yeah, I think it comes from a place of like actual experiences. I don't think it's just like, oh, I'm having a bad day, so everybody should stop expecting. I think it's just like in your life you have expected things and then they've not gone your way.
Yeah, I think it's good to be like okay with that and to know that that's okay if that happens. Yeah,
definitely. And I think that's what your letter conveys, is that you've had to learn that the hard way of like, well, it didn't go my way, so now I have to accept that it's not gonna.
Yeah, might not.
Are you glad that you're not living the life you expected to be living at the age of 22?
Whoa. Yeah. I love where I'm at right now. Like, I love my job, and I didn't ever know my job was a thing until a few years ago. When I was a lot younger, when I say the life I expected at 22, as we've discussed before, when I was a lot younger, I expected my life to go like similar to my mum, where I'd meet a boy, fall in love, get married, and have a family, and have a really simple life, because where I'm from, that's all you can really hope for. There's not a lot more there for you. And then when like my perspective grew and I realized there was a lot more out there that I could do with my life, I started to prioritize that. I went to uni, which I didn't think I was going to do, discovered a career that I love, which I never thought I'd care about anything this much. And I feel that's really lucky. It's not what I expected at all, but I still love it. And I know I will still have the whole falling in love, having a family, but that's just not right now.
It was nice to say, like, that's what I wanted then, but now that has changed, and that's fine. Like we said kind of last episode in the choice one, you're allowed to change your mind of what you choose. It's like, you know, if you decided, for example, when you were young you wanted children, but then you got to like this age and you were like, actually it's not really on my priority list, like that's fine, you're allowed to change your mind. And you're allowed to change your expectations of yourself.
Exactly. I think you have to. I can't think you can live your life just expecting things to turn out exactly how you want at the time you want. Like, it's unrealistic. You've got to just expect sometimes to get a little bit diverted and to just be okay with that, or else you'll waste your whole time being like, this isn't where I want it to be here, and constantly like going back to that expectation of yourself and not actually just living now and being like happy right now rather than focus on what am I supposed to be doing. Like, this right now is what you're supposed to be doing.
So my next one's kind of like a 2-part question, but they're related. So the first part is, what did your younger self expect adult life to be like? Because you talk a lot about expect adult life to be hard, expect there to be curveballs and all that kind of stuff. And then the second part is, and where did those expectations come from for what adult life would be like?
I don't know. I think when you're a kid, you just want to be treated like a grown-up, don't you? You want to be grown up. You want to be able to just have that freedom to go where you want and do what you want, dress how you want, all that stuff. And you just want to be older. You want to be like, oh, I want to be 18 so I can go out and I can drink, or I want to get a tattoo, or it's all about like having that freedom of choice and that independence. I think I touched on it like in a previous episode. Like, they don't teach you that like adult life, that freedom, it comes with like responsibility too. I'm pretty sure Spider-Man said that, but whatever. Or Batman, I don't know, one of those. You think, oh, I can just do what I want. It's like, actually no, because you have to like, I don't know, earn enough money to like get that tattoo or where you want to go traveling. Like, it's not like just easy. And I think sometimes actually not even as a child, but as like when you're at uni and you're living the literally best years of your life, having a great time, having student loan just given to you, you're learning, you're meeting new people, you're socializing, you're drinking. You're like, this is adult life. I'm cooking for myself, doing my own laundry. I can do this.
Yeah.
And you get in your third year and you get this bit of confidence. And I think a lot of people in our year heading to graduation be like, I'm going to get a degree. Like, I can do this. I'm just going to get my career handed to me on a plate. That's not the case. Especially in current circumstances working in the arts, like, you're not going to get things easy. And I think sometimes you can be a bit naive. It's good to be hopeful and be like, oh, this would be my dream career, but it's naive to think that you're just going to walk into it straight after graduation. It's an unrealistic expectation, I think.
Where do you think that expectation of adult life being great came from?
Films, TV. I think that like romantic comedies completely ruined my perception of what adult relationships should be like. Rom-coms ruined my love life. They really did. Like, I grew up watching like Angus Thongs, as we all did, like Wild Child, A Cinderella Story, all these like perfect little chick flicks that taught you within 90 minutes that whatever shit happened, it would get resolved and you'd be live happily ever after. And then you get to it and you're like, well, actually, no. Sometimes things aren't resolved in 90 minutes and sometimes you don't get a happy ending. And things don't work out the way you want. They literally set you up to just be disappointed with your life because it's so unrealistic.
You spoke about not to be cynical in your letter.
In a very cynical letter.
Basically my middle name.
It really is.
Do you think we have to have a level of cynicism about life, people's grounded?
Um, I don't know, because I think we'd both describe me as a very positive person, but I can be realistic too. I think you can't always go into life being like, yeah, I'm gonna get my dream job, my dream house. That's not being positive, that's just being naive. And I think there's a difference. I think you can go forward in life being like, okay, this might happen, but also this might happen and this might not work out. But it's how you act on that and how you like respond to those difficult times that makes you a positive person. But you have to prepare yourself for the worst. Like they say, like hope for the best, but expect the worst, so that you've kind of got some kind of perspective. And being positive isn't about expecting the best all the time. It's working with making the best out of maybe the worst situation, kind of like what we've done here with the podcast. Like, but yeah, I think sometimes you have to be a bit not cynical, but realistic.
Yeah.
Because life isn't all rainbows and butterflies, is it? Like, it's what's that song?
Yeah.
Ain't always rainbows and butterflies. It's compromise and moves us along. Catherine has written, to anyone trying to live up to an expectation, I would like to ask you a question. Who has put this expectation on you? Is it yourself, a family member, a friend, a colleague, or society? From the moment we enter this world, there are expectations put onto us. An expectation to grow, to be fit and healthy, but that's not always the reality for some people. An expectation to be successful in life, but as we have spoken about before, success looks very different to everyone. Expectations in our looks, expectations in our fitness, expectations in our views, expectations in our actions. I would like to say this. Why are we attempting to live for other people? Why are we so concerned with what other people think that we take actions to achieve what they want, not what we want for ourselves? We live in a world where everyone wants freedom. So why are we not all setting ourselves free from our own and our world's expectations? Let's make a pact now, here together. Rather than wanting and wishing and waiting for the things we or others expect, why don't we celebrate what we already have? Everyone's truth is different, everyone's circumstances are different. If you are someone who is putting your expectations onto someone else, take a step back and focus more on what you have and not what you want or would expect from others. Let us stop being so concerned with others' lives and start being more concerned with our own. Love someone who is trying to stop living up to others' expectations. This is very different for me. I very much spoke about like my expectations for what my life would look like from a younger age. But you kind of refer to like other people's like external expectations. Mm-hmm. And I just wonder why you chose that those kind of weighed on your life the most.
Because I think there are expectations from everything that you do. You know, there's always I think regardless of what you go into and what you choose to do with your life, there'll always be an expectation for more. Whether that be within yourself or whether that be from other people. And it's like, for example, when you start a new job, the people that you're starting the job for might have an expectation of how you are and what you're going to do. But how are you ever expected to live up to that because you're not a mind reader? And the same for your parents. You know, your parents will always have an expectation of what they want you to do, but you shouldn't necessarily live by that expectation. You know, it's kind of, we talk about the generational thing of, you know, and I've spoken to parents and things about it before, of when you have a daughter, you expect her to grow up and marry a nice man. Well, you know, what if that daughter doesn't want to marry a nice man, but she wants to marry a nice woman?
Or doesn't want to marry anyone at all.
Yeah. And, you know, the same on men. You know, men are expected to grow up and be big and strong. Well, what if they don't want to be?
Yeah.
You know, what if they don't want to do manual work or, you know, be in a heterosexual relationship or anything like that? It's like, I think the whole world has this thing about, we all have expectations for other people as well. You know, we all have an expectation of what we want in a relationship and what we want our partner to be like. Well, you can never expect somebody to be exactly the vision that you imagined because they are their own person. therefore stop putting your expectations onto other people, because they'll always disappoint you.
Yeah.
And you'll then forever be disappointed by what other people do.
I think that's really interesting that you say about like your expectations of others, because I didn't think about that at all, like what you expect from other people. And I think that's so true, like kind of just like touching back on the idea that we spoke about earlier about like films and like the idea from like media giving you false expectations. Like if you grew up looking for like, I don't know, you see all these like male leads that are so perfect and they always say the right thing and they react in like this way, and you're like, oh my god, like I just expect any person that I am in a relationship with to be this way. You're setting yourself up for disappointment, because those are fictional characters. Someone's written them. Someone, probably another woman, has written what they'd like a male to say, and a male actor said it. That's not the reality, is it? Like that's. I want to know, kind of your personal expectations rather than other people's. But what's the biggest expectation you had of your 20s that maybe wasn't a reality?
For example, when you watch like Friends, for example, like it's a group of adult friends who are all in their late 20s and early 30s, and they spend nearly all their life in a coffee house and in somebody's flat. And it's like, you know, they have jobs, but they never go to these jobs.
Yeah, you don't see all the boring shit that Chandler sits in his office from 9 to 5 and does. You see him like chilling later on, like playing foosball and
like Monica is only in like in the restaurant in like a handful of episodes.
Yeah.
But most of the time, whenever somebody walks into Monica's flat, she's in there. And it's like, so when are you ever at work? Like,
yeah.
And you get this perception that like your social life will be so full, and like work will be this tiny little thing that doesn't matter. And it's like you realise that work takes over your entire life.
And
it's like,
you're so right. You're so right. And the fact that like Rachel just walks into a career in fashion with no qualification, no experience, she just gets what she wants. And I'm like, if that was me now and I'm like, I just want to go and work at Ralph Lauren, I'd be rejected straight up.
But like, it's, you know, you get this perception, and I think I had it particularly when I moved to Manchester after uni. I would have this really full social life and I would be so busy, and I was so miserable because my whole life revolved around work, and that's all I ever did was work and go home and then do it again the next day.
Yeah. And I think sometimes people see this and they think, oh, when I grow up, my life is just going to be like this, and this is just going to be the life I have. But you create the life that you have. Like we've talked about before, you create the opportunities for yourself. If you want to go and have a full social life, and you have to like make the effort to go meet new people, and no one's going to like do it for you. You have to make the life that you want to live.
During your 20s, it's like a trial period.
Mm.
It's like you can't expect to be where your parents are or where your older siblings are at the age of 22.
Mm.
Like my sister is 28 now, and she's now got an actual house, not a flat, and a full-time job that she's been doing for a number of years. But when she was my age, she was still trialing everything out and going here, there and everywhere and trying different jobs and moving. But now she's kind of a bit more settled, because she's like, okay, things are starting to fall into place, but we can't expect to be there when we've just literally come out of uni.
And this is like an existential one, but I'm just really kind of fascinated, and it might be a bit deep and you might not want to touch on it, but like I want to know in what ways you think you're living for other people.
I don't think I am living for them, but I think I live with them in my head quite a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of like, I take on other people's opinions like they're gospel.
Mm.
I don't know, it's really hard without getting like super personal about like specific things.
Yeah.
But like I said, I don't think I particularly live for other people.
Mm.
I think I just, like I say, I take everything on board quite a lot, and it kind of sits in my head for far longer than it ever should do.
Yeah.
I overthink far too much. And I have had people have an expectation of, oh, well, I thought you wanted to be in beauty. And it's like, well, I changed my mind. Oh, I thought you wanted to be in theatre. Oh, well, theatre's disappearing right now, so I need to find something else to do that I might actually quite enjoy. And, you know, people have a lot of expectations for where you're supposed to be going. You know, if you're in a certain industry, why are you not improving? Why are you not getting a promotion? Why are you not doing this? Why are you not doing that? And it's like, well, because I don't want to. Like, you know, just because I'm in this certain industry doesn't need to mean that I want to be the top dog in that industry. I might be happy staying at this level for the rest of my life.
Exactly. I think that's the thing in the arts as well, isn't it? Like, people, when you tell them, like, your degree is in theatre and you work in the arts industry, they have, like, a certain expectation of the kind of person that you are from your job title. And I think that's bullshit as well. You shouldn't be confined to, like, oh, you're a stage manager, so this means this is your kind of personality. Like, your job doesn't define who you are as a person.
The other one is, oh, you did drama and theatre. Do you want to be an actor?
Oh my god, literally, whenever I tell someone, like in a taxi or whatever, you say you work in the theatre industry, and they're like, oh, we're going to see your name in lights one day, like, you're going to be a star. And I'm like, well, no, you might expect that of me, but actually, I'm a stage manager, and I'll be at the back of the programme. No one's ever going to see my name in lights, and that's fine, because that's what I want, and I'm happy with it. I don't expect fame.
I think the reason that my viewpoint is about the expectations of others is because there is this constant judgment due to expectation of other people.
I think the moment you let all that go and you decide you're not going to give a shit what anyone thinks is just a huge weight off. And you're like, what do I want with my life? How am I going to get there? And I don't give a damn what anyone thinks. That makes me.
Like we've said in previous episodes, success looks very different to everybody.
Anyways, I think you've heard enough of both of our voices, so it's time to move on to our two guests this week. So, Catherine, who is our first guest this week?
Our first guest this week is Victoria from a page called @Fresher Than Yesterday, and she's a digital creator, and she creates content about how to build your own one-of-a-kind personal brand. And this week she's going to talk to us about what expectations mean to her.
Dear Kat and Amy, today I want to talk to you about expectations and how unrealistic expectations might slowly ruin your life. So you have expectations of the world, you have expectations of others, and you have expectations of yourself. For example, you expect your parents to understand your life choices without questioning them. You expect your boyfriend to clean all the dishes and know exactly when you need a comfort from him without telling him. And you expect your teammates to put the same amount of effort into the project, but it rarely happens, right? People suggest communicating what you want to others, and I agree it might help, but rarely after one conversation. So even if you tried, most likely things didn't change, and that leaves you with a nasty feeling of disappointment. The same is happening to you when you expect a lot of yourself. You expect to earn X amount of money, be nice and kind to everyone, drink lots of water, exercise, look great, and be happy all at the same time. But stuff happens, and these unrealistic expectations of the world and of yourself slowly harden your soul. But my suggestion would be, and what I'm trying to practice in my daily life, is to shift focus and just let go. So if you're unhappy with the way someone's behaving, shift the focus to yourself and think, why am I wasting time trying to change someone else? What can I do for myself today, right now, and change the situation? Either walk away from the situation or just be patient, accept that we're all here to learn and grow, and you're just on different levels. Just be patient. On a more personal level, the unrealistic expectations of yourself, how you can shift focus is to celebrate small wins. So as cheesy as it sounds, it's about journey, not the destination. And it's really important to have goals and try to achieve them all the time. But try to celebrate small wins and see something to be grateful for during your day. For example, for waking up early in the morning, or for calling your mom and making her smile, or not forgetting to take the trash out. Like small things like that. And when you start practicing that consciousness in your everyday life and trying to shift that focus all the time, because I get that we're not perfect and it's not going to be 100% of the time, you're not going to be like that. But the more often you remember and the more often you shift the focus, the more natural it comes to you and becomes a part of your life. And you just start noticing other things more positive, and you just start enjoying life more. So that would be my advice, and that's what I'm trying to practice in my life while dealing with expectations.
And I think she's made a really good point in like the expectations we have of ourselves sometimes are the things that we feel most disappointed in ourselves. And I think we have the power to like she says, switch that focus. Like sometimes the biggest expectations are the ones you put on yourself, but you've done that, and you can reverse that as well and just maybe simplify it. Just expect yourself to just do your best and to not always be productive, and to allow yourself time to breathe sometimes. And like she says, celebrate the little things, back to the little basics. I think that's a lovely piece of advice, and so true that we just keep reminding ourselves of that daily, especially in lockdown, when we maybe expect to be so productive and get so fit and eat so well. We've put that on ourselves and I think it's unrealistic.
Something that particularly stood out to me that she said was the idea of being patient with others. Like she says, you know, don't walk away from it and go and be frustrated at other people because they're not at your level yet or they don't understand what you mean. Be patient with them and allow them the time to get to that level. And I think that comes in friendships as well. You know, give people the time. Yeah. And I think that was a really nice piece of advice from Victoria, of just be patient. I think that's, you know, that's something that we should all learn. Because I think patience is diminishing in this world. And a lot of the time it could solve a lot of problems. But I just think that was really inspiring. Like, I want to listen to that video like all the time, just to remind myself of like, okay, if you didn't drink enough water, it's okay if you ate that bag of chocolate, it's fine. Just, you know, give yourself a break.
Exactly, give yourself a break. So really excitingly, I'm excited to see what our other guest has to say in like contrast to that. So Catherine, who is guest number 2 this week?
So our second guest is Anthonia, and she is from at British Black Girl on Instagram. Her page is great. She talks about all things kind of careers and motivation, and how to get your kind of mindset into being that productive mindset, and how to kind of build on your skills. And this week she's come to talk to us about the expectations of university and graduate life.
Dear Kat and Amy, I want to talk to you about expectation. At my still young age of 22, I have experienced expectation in many forms. It followed me to university and left with me. It promised me a degree was going to be worth it. It promised me a good degree and a job that paid appropriately. Expectation forgot to mention that going to university does not always guarantee a job upon graduating. Perhaps I should know my facts before forming expectations at all. Why does expectation and reality differ so much? I've come to realise that this is reality.
I was saying it's short and sweet, but it's to the point. I feel like Antonia's got like a very like straightforward way of thinking about it now. It's very obvious that she's learned from what she expected, that now actually like reality is the reason that she's she's forgotten about her expectations. And I think that's something that we can really relate to. Like, you know, university is the like this big expectation. Like Anthonia says, it's this big like thing of, oh, it's going to be amazing and it's going to get you this opportunity and that opportunity and you're going to be incredible and you're going to have a degree. And it's like, really, it's just a bit of paper.
Literally.
A lot of hard work.
Especially in the arts, if you graduate, even if you go to like the top drama school and you get amazing grades and you do really well, does not mean you're going to have a successful career, unfortunately, or success straight away. You might have to still work after your degree.
Definitely.
But like I said before, it's like you have to make that life for yourself. You have to make those opportunities. It's not going to get you something just because you got a degree. It's more than that.
Yeah, and I think it's, you know, it's great that the way that Anthonia's page works, and it's so inspiring. Like, some of the things that she posts are amazing, and I'm just sat there like, oh my god, I didn't even know this. Like, thank you so much for informing me on that. That's incredible. And the fact that she has learned from her own experience of, like, you've got to go out and you've got to get it, you know, you've got to get your motivation, you've got to go and do it. And it's like, you know, you can't just live off this idea that everything, like you say, everything's going to be handed to you on a silver platter. And I think that's really important.
Well, I really appreciate those two different views. I really enjoyed like thinking about this and thinking about like what my expectations are for myself and for the rest of this shit show of a year. We hope you've enjoyed listening. Thank you to our lovely guests. If you would like to guest on a future episode and voice your opinion on something, Catherine, how can you get in touch?
You can get in touch via the Instagram at Uphill From Here Podcast, or you can get in touch via the email uphillfromherepodcast@gmail.com. I would just like to say, please go and follow both Victoria and Anthonia. It's at fresher_than_yesterday, and Anthonia is at British Black Belt on Instagram. So please go and follow them. Their content is great.
And we'll pop their links in the bio downstairs. Yeah. Thank you for sticking around. This has been episode 16. We hope you've enjoyed, and we'll see you very soon.
Bye.